let me say it as simply as I can. Yes, I accept your nomination to run and serve with Barack Obama, the next President of the United States of America. I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. As my family and I have worked through the grieving process, I've said all along, what I've said time and again to others, that it may very well be that that process, by the time we get through it, closes the window on mounting a realistic campaign for president, that it might close. I've concluded it has closed. It went very, very well. I hope they enjoy this home as much as Jill and I have. But if we give Donald Trump 8 years in the White House, he will forever and fundamentally alter the character of this nation. And I cannot stand by and watch that happen. That's why today I'm announcing my candidacy for President of the United States. We're going to win this race. We're going to beat Donald Trump. And I promise you, we're going to change America, all of America, for the better. Now let me introduce to you, for the first time, your next Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris. Kamala, the floor is yours.
You were a senator, and
You're
by
the
way,
worst
you were
president America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
let me just with you.
Go ahead. You get the wait a minute. You get the final word, Mr.
Well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown. Excuse me, this.
Hey,
this
let me
person.
just say to you.
No. I'm Mr. President.
$3.5
I'm Mr.
million.
President.
I'll never surrender. We're going to beat this virus. We're going to get it under control. And the first step to beating this virus is beating Donald Trump.
We did it, Joe. You're gonna be the next President of the United States.
Joe Biden.
The people of this nation have spoken. They've delivered us a clear victory, a convincing victory, a victory for we the people. We've won with the most votes ever cast on a presidential ticket in the history of the nation, 74 million.
And when you take a step back and you look at the way the president is handling this, his refusal to concede, what do you think is really going on here?
Well, I don't know his motive, but I just think it's totally irresponsible. Let me be very clear. The scenes of chaos at the Capitol do not reflect a true America, do not represent who we are. What we're seeing are a small number of extremists dedicated to lawlessness. This is not dissent, it's disorder, it's chaos, it borders on sedition. And it must end now.
The votes for President of the United States are as follows. Joseph R. Biden, Jr. of the state of Delaware has received 306 votes. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 232 votes. The purpose of the joint session having concluded, pursuant to Senate Concurrent Resolution 1, 117th Congress, the chair declares the joint session dissolved.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States
the office of President of the United States
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
We've learned again that democracy is precious. Democracy is fragile. And at this hour, my friends, democracy has prevailed. Hey, Doctor, how are you?
Mr. President, how are you?
You're going to be doing a lot of talking for the next while. We will get through this. We will defeat this pandemic. And to a nation waiting for action, let me be the clearest on this point. Help is on the way. To heal, we must remember. It's hard sometimes to remember, but that's how we heal. This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. That's why I'm moving forward with vaccination requirements wherever I can. As they study the Omicron variant, that we have just 2 cases reported here in the United States. But as I explained on Monday, this new variant is cause for concern, but not panic. Tonight, I'm announcing that I will direct all states, tribes, and territories to make all adults, people 18 and over, eligible to be vaccinated no later than May 1. Hey folks, guess you heard this morning I tested positive for COVID. But I've been double vaccinated, double boosted, symptoms are mild, and I really appreciate your inquiries and your concerns. My inclination is to mention I promised the American people, and I guess it's becoming an overused phrase, that help was on the way. But today, with the American Rescue Plan now signed into law, we've delivered on that promise. And I don't mean I've delivered, we've delivered. Madam Speaker, Madam Vice President, no president has ever said those words from this podium. No president has ever said those words, and it's about time. The worst pandemic in a century, the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. Now, after just 100 days, I can report to the nation, America is on the move again. The American Jobs Plan is a blue-collar blueprint to build America. That's what it is. Hello, everyone. And transit is part of the infrastructure. And like the rest of our infrastructure, we're way behind the rest of the world right now.
On this vote, the yeas are 228 and the nays are 206. The motion is adopted.
I ran for president believing it was time to rebuild the backbone of this nation, which I characterize as working people and the middle class. They're the ones who built the country. And to rebuild the economy from the bottom up and the middle out. This law delivers on that long overdue promise, in my view. It creates better. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to cut the deficit, point out, by another $300 billion with the Inflation Reduction Act over the next decade. We're cutting deficits to fight inflation by having the wealthy and big corporations finally begin to pay part of their fair share. We learned last month's inflation rate came down more than experts expected. In a world where inflation is rising at double digits in many major economies around the world, inflation is coming down in America. One of the defining images, at least from my perspective in this crisis, has been the insurrection was an existential crisis, a test of whether our democracy could survive, and it did. She recorded what took place, the real history. For the first time in our history, the president had not just lost an election, he tried to prevent the peaceful transfer of power as a violent mob reached the Capitol. But they failed. They failed. And on this day of remembrance, we must make sure that such attack never happens again. Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. We want a conflict. We want a future where all nations... America is back. I speak to you today as President of the United States at the very start of my administration, and I'm sending a clear message to the world. America is back. They're now projecting it will exceed. I see stiff competition with China. China has an overall goal, and I don't criticize them for the goal, but they have an overall goal to become the leading country in the world, the wealthiest country in the world, and the most powerful country in the world. That's not going to happen on my watch. I've concluded that it's time to end America's longest war. It's time for American troops to come home. The United States will begin our final withdrawal, begin it on May 1 of this year. We'll not conduct a hasty rush to the exit. We'll do it responsibly, deliberately, and safely. I'm deeply saddened by the facts we now face. But I do not regret my decision to end America's warfighting in Afghanistan and maintain a laser focus on our counterterrorism missions there and other parts of the world. And the United States remains firmly committed to Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity in the face of Russian aggression. Six days ago, Russia's Vladimir Putin sought to shake the very foundations of the free world, thinking he could make it bend to his menacing ways. But he badly miscalculated. He thought he could roll into Ukraine and the world would roll over. Instead, he met with a wall of strength he never anticipated or imagined. He met the Ukrainian people. The United States Department of Justice is assembling a dedicated task force to go after the crimes of the Russian oligarchs. We're joining with European allies to find and seize their yachts, their luxury apartments, their private jets. We're coming for your ill-begotten gains. And tonight, I'm announcing that we will join our allies in closing off American airspace to all Russian flights, further isolating Russia and adding additional squeeze on their economy. Truth of the matter is, nothing has changed. As many people came, 28% increase in children to the border in my administration, 31% in the last year in 2019 before the pandemic in the Trump administration. It happens every single solitary year.
Want it now. We want justice. Justice. We want it now.
Today, the Supreme Court of the United States expressly took away a constitutional right from the American people that it had already recognized. They didn't limit it, they simply took it away. That's never been done to a right so important to so many Americans. But they did it. It's a sad day for the court and for the country. My fellow Americans, today I'm honored to officially introduce to you the next Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States, Ketanji Brown Jackson. Look, we've seen the mass shootings in Charleston, South Carolina, El Paso, Texas, and Pittsburgh, last year in Atlanta, this week in Dallas, Texas, and now in Buffalo, New York. White supremacy is a poison. It's a poison running through it. It really is.
We're waiting for more information at this time. The reunifications are still happening.
For God's sake, how much more carnage are we willing to accept? How many more innocent American lives must be taken before we say enough, enough? Today we face an inflection point, one of those moments that comes around every 3 or 4 generations. We know in our bones that our democracy is at risk, and we know that this is your moment to defend it. The American people prove once again that democracy is who we are. There's a strong rejection of election deniers at every level, from those seeking to lead our states and those seeking to serve in Congress, and also those seeking to oversee the election. Racism, anti-Semitism, homophobia, transphobia, they're all connected. But the antidote to hate is love. This law and the love it defends strike a blow against hate in all its forms. Instead of making the wealthy pay their fair share, some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority. Let me give you, anybody who doubts it, contact my office. I'll give you a copy. I'll give you a copy of the proposal. That means Congress doesn't vote. Well, I'm glad to see you. No, I tell you, I enjoy conversion. You know, it means if Congress doesn't keep the programs the way they are, they'd go away. Other Republicans say, I'm not saying it's a majority of you. I don't even think it's even a significant, but it's being proposed by individuals. So, folks, as we all apparently agree, Social Security and Medicare is off the books now, right? They're not to be discussed. All right. I'm ready. We got unanimity.
There's only one thing better than having a true friend like you standing with Israel, and that is having you standing in Israel. Your visit here is the first visit of an American president in Israel at a time of war. It is deeply, deeply moving.
Israel, as they respond to these attacks, it seems to me that have to continue to ensure that you have what you need to defend yourselves. And we're going to make sure that occurs, as you know. And we have to also bear in mind that Hamas does not represent all the Palestinian people. And it has brought them only suffering. That's why I'm running for re-election. Because I know America. And this is our moment. Let's finish this job. I know we can. Because this is the United States of America. There's nothing, simply nothing we cannot do if we do it together.
What do you say to them? What do you say to those Americans who are watching and aren't convinced? You've said you can beat Trump again. Do you think you're the only one?
I may not be the only one, but I know him well, and I know the danger he presents to our democracy, and we've been down this road before. And in fact, with regard to age, I can't even say, I guess how old I am, I can't even say the number. It doesn't register with me. And but the only thing I can say is that one of the things that people are going to find out, they're going to see a race, and they're going to judge whether or not I have it or don't have it. I respect them taking a hard look at it. I take a hard look at it as well. I took a hard look at it before I decided to run. And I feel good. I feel excited about the prospects. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Donald Trump, when he was commander-in-chief, refused to visit a cemetery, U.S. cemetery outside of Paris for fallen American soldiers. And he referred to those heroes, and I quote, as suckers and losers. He actually said that. He said that. How dare he say that? How dare he talk about my son and all of us like that? Look, I call them patriots and heroes. The only loser I see is Donald Trump. It makes me angry. As you know, initially, the president of Mexico, Sisi, did not want to open up the gate to allow humanitarian material to get in. I talked to him. I convinced him to open the gate. My memory is not good. My memory is fine. My memory, take a look at what I've done since I become president. None of you thought I could pass any of the things I got passed. How'd that happen? You know, I guess I just forgot what was going on.
Mr. President,
Mr. President, Dr. Biden, how was the anniversary?
If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 million, billion dollars, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID, excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare, folks, let me close with this. I know I'm not a young man. State the obvious. Well, I know. Well, I don't. Folks, I don't walk as easy as I used to. I don't speak as smooth as I used to. I don't debate as well as I used to. But I know what I do know. I know how to tell the truth. I know right from wrong. And I know how to do this job. I know how to get things done. And I know, like millions of Americans know, when you get knocked down, you get back up. Well, let me say this as clear as I can. I'm staying in the race. I'll beat Donald Trump. I will beat him again in 2020. Oh, by the way, we're going to do it again in 2024. And I'm not letting one 90-minute debate wipe out 3.5 years of work. I'm the nominee of this party because millions of Democrats like you just voted for me. Now, you probably also noticed a lot of discussion about my age. I know I look 40. I won't forget this. So please join me in raising your glasses. Got one for the boss. To NATO and to our neighborhood of nations, may we continue to grow stronger and closer in all the years ahead.
Okay. So, cheers for the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO.
All right, here.